Hey guys, happy Memorial Day. So I was thinking, what music is there for Memorial Day? What records or what music was ever created to commemorate Memorial Day? Not that many pieces, but I thought of one piece that I'm going to show you today. And it's by a composer you probably have never heard of. I got a bunch of his records. Charles Ives. And he wrote a piece called Decoration Day. And back in after the Civil War, before they had Memorial Day, they had a thing called Decoration Day, which meant that widows would go out and decorate the graves of the fallen Civil War soldiers. And there was like 600,000 people, soldiers who died in the Civil War. So there was a lot of graves that needed decorating. Today we call it Holiday Memorial Day, and the origins of that holiday are a little more complicated than that, but that's basically kind of the general idea, according to the history that I've read. So Charles Ives is actually one of the most famous American composers that nobody's ever heard of. He's one of the most original, and some say the greatest American classical style composer, and yet his music was not known at all in his lifetime. I got a bunch of his records. Let me show you a couple things here. Box set. I got the 100th anniversary box set of Charles Ives. It's 7 or 8 records. Got for $1 at a thrift store. It was missing the outer case, so this booklet by itself is worth the price of admission. I think it was $1. So he was born in 1874, I think. Yeah, 1874, Danbury, Connecticut. And his father was actually a Civil War band leader. So he grew up hearing music all the time, and his father taught him about music. And one weird thing, here's a good picture of he himself was a band leader in the Civil War. No, not really. He was born after the Civil War. He was the youngest Union band leader of the first. No, this is his dad. Back up, guys. This is Charles Ives' dad. His dad was the band leader. Anyway, Charles grew up in this whole environment of 1870s, 1880s, hearing this band music all the time. His father's band, town events, church, picnics, community, celebrations. So this sort of band music and Civil War music was really a part of his childhood. One weird thing he would hear a lot was you could be in a town square and hear 2 or 3 bands playing at once, and his father actually taught him to understand how to hear multiple pieces of music at once. So he kind of adopted this idea of multi-tonality, hearing more than one song, more than one melody at the same time. That's evident in a lot of his music. He was an early innovator in all these sort of what are considered avant-garde techniques: polyrhythm, polytonality, weird music by some standards. So this is the piece of music we're hearing here called Decoration Day that I just showed you. Anyway, he went to Yale, studied music, was a big man on campus, played football and fraternities and all that stuff. He actually became very successful in the insurance world and life insurance, and he knew he really was going to make a lot of money with his music. His music was really unknown during his lifetime. A lot of it was never even performed during his lifetime. Sometime, I think, in the early turn of the 20th century, he gave all his music to the public domain. He released it to the public domain, or at least a lot of his music. So I guess to encourage people to play it, not that it was going to cost him a lot of money. He had some interesting political ideas. His father was one of the early abolitionists, free the slaves. He was part of the Union Army. What am I trying to tell you? He actually wrote his own amendment to the Constitution. He wrote this amendment saying that we should have direct democracy, that everybody should vote directly for all the important laws. And he tried to promote that, and he sent it off to Washington, D.C. President Taft wrote him a letter back saying, "That's a stupid idea. We're not doing that. We're going to keep Congress. We're not going to just start voting on every single law." But some people have have been proponents of what's called direct democracy. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting tidbit. I always see Charles Ives' records at thrift stores, used record stores for $1 or $2. This is Bernstein Conducts Ives, the piece we're hearing, Decoration Day. Actually, Decoration Day was the second movement of a thing called the Holidays Symphony. But from the beginning he said you can play this as a symphony or you can separate them and play them independently if you want to. So what we're hearing now is, well, actually what we're hearing is just Decoration Day played by some school orchestra on YouTube. It's not on a record, it's on YouTube. What else we got? 4th of July. Here's one. The World of Charles Ives. 3 Places in New England. Robert Browning Overture, Washington's Birthday. A lot of his music has this patriotic and early American theme running throughout. Anyway, what else can I tell you about Charles Ives, guys? The first piece of music that I'm aware of, written specifically for Memorial Day, back in those days, called Decoration Day. Oh, we went to the Memorial Day parade today. This was the most patriotic thing I could find to wear. It looks slightly like the presidential seal, but it's really not. It's not really super Memorial Day-ish, but don't complain. Alright guys, I think that's probably, I don't know, I got tons of his records. Here's a good one. This is a more modern recording. The Holidays Symphony that I told you about. And it contains 4 movements. Washington's Birthday, Decoration Day, 4th of July, Thanksgiving. And here's a version by Michael Tilson Thomas, Chicago Symphony. Fairly recent edition, 30 years ago. Anyway, Charles Ives, one of the more innovative, strange composers in American history. Not very well known. Check him out, or not, it's up to you, but it's all for Memorial Day, Decoration Day, remembering those who served and lost their life. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.